And now,
ladies and gentlemen,
please fasten your seatbelts.
Welcome to Preneurcast.
You know, business cards being swapped, beers being drunk.
Can I say a nasty word? Can I say procrastination?
With Pete Williams and Dom Goucher.
How well did that go down?
Talk about that entire thing in a very another rant and soapbox episode if we want to.
Visit us online at preneurmarketing.com.
Hey, Pete.
Hey, dude, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. A little bit busy this week, but hey, busy is good.
Busy is very good. It's better than the alternative.
Absolutely.
What's been going on? You're off on a little vacation, I hear.
Well, yeah. I think it might actually really be a vacation. My sister's getting married in the UK, so I'm heading over there. But as always, it's last minute. We're flying in the night before.
Fun.
And I'm going to do the family thing, so I'm staying for a couple of days. Just trying to clear the decks before I go. Don't want to let anybody down because I'm going to be pretty much offline, which for me is very unusual.
Fair enough. So, yeah, it's unlike you to be disconnected. How do you think you'll cope?
I think I'll be fine. I think I've been really trying to work on that. I'm really trying to work on, the amount of time I'm connected and how much information I consume, when I consume it, stuff like that. Which is really actually what I thought we could talk about this week, because one of the great things, and do you know what? If we're going to try, maybe we'll have like a swear box or something for when somebody blows smoke up the other one, because this week I got this really great thing from you. I didn't know you were going to do this, and I got this email in my inbox with this great title. You sent this email out to your list, and it was you titled this email "Noise Reduction."
Indeed.
And it was just a list of things that you thought were worth paying attention to this week. With a bunch of links in it, and I just thought, wow, that's really useful, because I know that you're a great consumer of all things, and we'll talk one time about how you actually manage that, because you are just phenomenal, the amount of information you consume, whether it's podcasts, videos, audios, books, articles. I mean, you just devour this stuff, and I couldn't keep up. I couldn't do it, but I know that you're interested in a lot of the things that I'm interested in. And so I get this email through, and it's like a list of maybe 6 links.
Yep.
And they're all absolutely spot on. They're all like, oh, yeah, no, that's really interesting. And it was stuff I hadn't actually seen that
good.
week.
Yeah, so
I thought that was great. And I really loved the title. I think that's a bit of a theme, noise reduction.
Well, I think that is the key that sort of stood out for me, I guess, is that there is so much crap out there on the web, and Twitter and Facebook and everything else. There's just so much noise. Is what it's all about. There's just so much noise, and it's really hard to sort of cut through all that noise and work out is what actually is newsworthy or noteworthy. So I think it was just a great way to sort of, I obviously consume a lot of stuff, and a lot of it is noise, and I sort of, bookmark or tag or just, delicios my favourite noteworthy things. I thought, well, let's not put it into a bit of a weekly email that I can send out to everyone who's on the list that could be helpful for them. It's just a quick email, 6-7 links. They can just bang it off and go from there. Not sort of a long diatribe of why they're good or why they're bad or why I liked it. It's just, here's some cool stuff I found this week, and check it out. So hopefully it's going to be a weekly thing.
Now, slightly embarrassingly, I can't remember how I got on that list. I mean, I get various emails from you, from various accounts, from your various businesses, because we work together. But that was where did I get on there? Is that on the main website?
Yeah, it was basically, well, I sent it out to everyone in all my sort of sub-lists as well, because I think it's relevant to everybody who kind of is in my world, so to speak. But the easiest place is if you head over to preneurmarketing.com or petewilliams.com.au. On both those places, there's some options to actually jump up onto my list, put your email address in there, and you get a free bonuses. So I hate that sort of term, free bonuses for signing up. But I got the audio version. Actually, I got the full rights back to my first book from the publishers a few months back. So the original deal that I negotiated with the publishers for the first book included a clause where I got the rights back, which I was able to invoke a few months ago. And off the back of that, I went and got an audio version of my first book created, and that's sort of a thing I'm just giving away completely for free now because the book's done its job for me. It was a great, door opener, business card, sales tool for me, I guess, as well as an educational tool for the readers. And so it's done that sort of job, so to speak. So I'm just giving it away now. So if you head over to either of those two sites, you'll be able to grab a copy of that and get on the list and get noise reduction on a hopefully weekly basis.
Excellent. Now that kind of brings me to the two sides of this. There's my side. I mean, you are one of the reasons I wanted to do this podcast in the first place was actually just because I wanted to learn how you did what you do. And then we both thought actually it would be interesting for other people who are interested in, being efficient and also being, growing a business and things like that. But to me, right now, the topic is efficiency and dealing with this information overload. And I'm going to use one of your words, it sounds wanky. If I read another article about information overload, blah blah blah, and it's like there are very few people are helpful on this topic, but it is true. If you do the kind of things that we do, you're in information marketing. If you're in any field really these days, you can easily overload yourself. But in the information marketing, internet marketing space, certainly, because there's so many people being told to publish information. They're all doing it, whether it's got any value or not.
It's a big sort of double-edged sword, I guess what you're saying as well, because everyone now has a voice, and some people just shouldn't be heard. And as bad as that sounds, look, I really encourage people to be able to sort of post and write stuff, and because they say that you remember or you learn 90% of the topic by actually re-communicating out there, whether it's by teaching or writing or blog posting is probably the tactic version of that. So it's important people do that, but at the same time, it's just causing more and more noise, which is not necessarily a good thing.
No, I mean, here's a word of warning to the internet marketing community, okay? And I'm going to I think I'm going to start a meme with this. I'm going to try and go through Inbox Zero because I know you did it, you believe in it, it works. I'm a big fan of Merlin Mann myself as well. Separate to before I met you, I've been following Merlin since I don't know when. And the Inbox Zero is a constant battle for me. And one of the things that really causes me the grief is, of course, all the internet marketing that comes in. So here's my attack, my week off, and you can check on me when I get back. My week off. Anybody that says, my friend, as the opening line of their email, they're off. I'm just unsubscribing from their list. Yeah, my friend Noggin has got this deal. It's no, off, bye. Because that's not your friend. I'm sorry. I know it's not your friend. So let's get real. You're scamming. It's just a standard bit of boilerplate. Get rid of, bye. But it's definitely the whole information overload thing is just, it's really. And also, it's really pushed me back because I'm trying to close down my stuff this week. I'm trying to say, right, make sure you're clear, make sure you've done everything that's important, make sure you've delivered to all the clients, etc., etc. And wading through the inbox and going, right, that's important. I need to pay attention to that. I need to track that. And that's rubbish. That's get rid of it. Is just really hit me this week. So I really, as I say, I actually stopped reading a lot of my feeds. So when your noise reduction came in, I thought, wow, it's Pete. And as you say, you don't say, I think this is cool because, you just say, I think this is interesting. And it's just a really useful thing for people. What is it? It's Ed Dale talks about it. It's, what's the word he uses?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
He talks about it with Twitter lists, but it's with everything. Curation.
Okay.
Curation. That's what you're doing. Curation. It's you're sorting through this stuff for other people. That is one of the most valuable things that people can do these days.
Absolutely.
And that's what that is to me. That, and I think it's going to become a big thing.
Oh, hopefully people enjoy it. People want us to find it and read it, and fantastic. I think there could be some value in there for some people, and I guess it. I can sort of say that in circles, but hopefully it's helpful.
Cool. All right, so I've allowed you a 10-minute respite. Okay? There's your digression. You know what's coming next, because in the last call we talked about the book you're writing now.
Yes.
And we talked about accountability.
Oh, here we go.
And I'm outing you. I'm not chasing you with emails. There's no no Skype chat messages.
You're just going directly to the jugular on air. Yep. Nice work. Yeah. So
how's it going, dude?
It's been an interesting weekend. I did make a promise to you to get some stuff done, which I didn't deliver on, and that's me. I think it's everyone. It's that constant battle against resistance. And I had an interesting morning on Saturday morning, got locked out of the house, which was a whole another half-hour story about how that went down, which sort of snowballed into a few other bits and pieces, but that's no excuse. It's a reason, but it's not an excuse. So, look, I'll be getting back onto it in the next 24 hours.
Cool. One of the things on the accountability thing, just talking about that in general for people, one of the things I've tried to get you to do is... And again, back then you said, yeah, I committed to give you something over the weekend. What I've tried to get you to do is tell me what it is.
Yes. That
you're working towards, however big or however small, realistic or otherwise. I've tried to get you to tell me what it is, because the nebulous idea of I'll give you something, which is what a lot of people do. I mean, you haven't, by the way. You told me what it was you were going to give me. But a lot of people just go, no, we'll meet again on Wednesday. I'll show you something.
Yes. Make it measurable.
I think it's important. Make it measurable. That's it. Make it concrete. Make it measurable. And that's one of those. If you get any book on my bookshelf about goal setting, one of the key things about goal setting is make it measurable.
I think it's also just make it objective as opposed to subjective, because subjective in a lot of different areas, not alone. Let alone goal setting or accountability is very, very vague. Whereas if it's objective, it's black or white. That's it. That's what you delivered or you didn't deliver. You achieved or you didn't achieve. It's right or it's wrong. I think that's a lot of people sort of give themselves loopholes and exits with subjectiveness. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, I'm just double checking in my brain, objective versus subjective. I think we'll just let that one go. I know what you mean. And you're probably right.
When it comes down to English language, mate, don't trust me at all.
Yeah, this is yeah. Yeah. Let's change the subject quickly. So, I mean, my biggest, I'm about to go into a week of information fasting. Let's use another Ponzi term, and I'm going to try. My access to the information and the internet, if I do it at all, is going to be to kind of sort out my systems and go for the inbox zero and whatever. Now, I know you're a bit of an email ninja. You spend a lot of time thinking about this. Can you talk a little bit about how you handle just the email side of things? I mean, if we did everything, it'd take us days. Because your systems are amazing.
Yeah. Well, my system's actually kind of changed in the last sort of 2 or 3 business days. We finally made the shift in the office from going from POP3 mail to be on the cloud. So we only just moved all our mail to Google Apps for the entire company. Historically, with all my Gmail accounts, they were actually just on a permanent forward to my POP account in the office. So the underlying platform has has had a big change to it in the last 24, 48 hours. But fundamentally, I guess the systems and the processes around that haven't really changed. I'm now using Mailplane inside my Mac to actually manage my emails. I historically used MacMail, which I thought was more than adequate for the workflow that I had. And I was using a really cool add-on called Mail Tags, which allowed you to actually tag and manipulate the emails that were sitting in your inbox. So you could sort of tag them in certain categories, and you can colorize them and do follow-ups and bits and pieces like that, which was really, really cool. But now it's all going to Mailplane, and you can do a very similar thing with that. But I think it's more the inbox zero thing is that this is what I tried to really push through as many of the team members in the office as possible, is that your inbox at a minimum level, I guess you call it, is only for stuff you still have to action. And there's so many people you see their inbox is just, they have their email in one location and it's just their inbox and it's just full. of stuff they've read, they haven't read, they've done, they haven't done. And it's just like, well, how do you know what's in there to actually do? And if you get busy and behind in stuff, that inbox can be a very, very scary monster in that you go, oh, I've got so much in here, I don't know where to start. So I think the first thing is really making sure your inbox is only used for actionable things. That should just be a minimum, in my opinion. And then if you want to get to the next level and sort of, play that inbox zero game, so to speak, where you want to try and empty out your inbox as much as possible, that's sort of where I try and live now, is because my rule, and it comes down to the whole, I guess, an adaptation of the David Allen's Getting Things Done and Merlin Mann's Inbox Zero, is that when you dedicate some time to sit down and do email, as in read and reply to emails, you make the commitment that is, if there's an item to an email you've read, either you action it straight away or you do something with it. And if it's an action I have to do later on, then I'll actually put it into my OmniFocus, which is my Getting Things Done task management application. So the inbox of OmniFocus is where they go. So it gets moved from my email inbox into my to-do inbox, which is inside OmniFocus. And then from there, I'll go off and actually dissect it and push it through to different categories and all that sort of stuff. And then live that getting things done type mentality that David Allen talks about. So that's sort of, I guess, the high level kind of process or flow to sort of try and keep on top of this sort of stuff. A lot of filters and so emails get moved automatically. In terms of some of those mailing list stuff that you spoke about before, I'm on probably as many, if not more, mailing lists than you as well. And I've just got them filtered to go through to a special folder inside, well, now Gmail. So it just gets filtered straight through. I don't even see it in my inbox. So it's just when I have some time, I'm like, all right, I want to actually go and check out what's going on in the internet marketing world or the business, information product world. I'll go and jump into that folder and I'll go through and just skim what's going on, what launch is happening at the moment, what are people giving out, and do it that way, because that sort of stuff it's consumption stuff. It's not action stuff. So I really try and make sure that that consumption stuff gets automatically moved out of my inbox and I actually see it. And I can just do it when I'm in consumption mode, which might be sitting on the couch at home, waiting in line at the bank, or when I need that 5-minute break between focus time, between my critical focus time. I have that 5-minute break. And that 5-minute break is when I'll jump into my consumption stuff in the email, and I'll consume that sort of stuff, and I'll go through the news and try and find, or go through the noise and try and find some news that way. But my inbox is only stuff that I know I have to action, and I really make sure there's flags and filters to make that happen automatically without me.
Cool. I mean, there's in about 5 minutes there, you've really described quite a complex system. It's simple now, and it works really well for you, I know. But having tried to put these things together, and bear in mind, ironically, I come from a more technical background than you. It can be quite a challenge, not from the technology point of view, but from the kind of logical flow point of view. And we'll skip over the fact that you offhandedly mentioned MailPlane, which it's kind of a Gmail aggregation tool, isn't it? It's like the mail application, but it reads your Gmail directly, if I understand it. Yeah,
it basically it's like a nice little wrapper for Gmail. So rather than actually using Gmail inside your web browser like Firefox or Internet Explorer or Safari, it's a standalone application that has some funky add-ons to get a little bit more functionality out of Gmail. And particularly if you've got lots of Gmail accounts, it works with that really, really easily. But MailPlane's not really the thing. It's the process. And I really think just the actionable thing that people should probably take away from this little rant is that use filters to filter out, to at least to divide your consumption stuff versus your action stuff. So, things like when you register a new domain with GoDaddy and you get, the 5 different emails that you get, confirmation and maybe your PayPal receipt and stuff like that, you don't even need to see them. Just even seeing them in your inbox and then manually dragging them into a different folder still takes time. But realistically, you know what you've bought. You don't need to see it. So set some filters up, and it can be a little bit of a pain up front to go, I've got to do another filter. Oh, no, I've got to do another filter. But it takes all of 3 seconds, and it's going to save you not only the time in the future, but also just that mental space. And that when you see your inbox, you'll be amazed at how empty your inbox will become just by getting out all your consumption stuff. And you can, if you want to you have level 1 consumption, level 2 consumption, if you want to sort of get really anal about it. So the stuff that you want to read every day as a consumption thing, maybe you're on the how to help a reporter out, or Harrow, that great service where you can actually get sent publicity opportunities for free every day. Journalists are actually putting on there on Harrow. I want this person to feature in my article. Great, really great tool to get your exposure for yourself and your business. But that's a consumption still thing. And you can make that in like a level 1 consumption as opposed to level 2 consumption, which might be an email from a marketing guy trying to sell you stuff. So I think that's a really important thing that people should be doing, is have those filters just to isolate consumption from action. And that action stuff technically should be creation stuff. It's almost consumption versus creation, whether you're creating a spreadsheet for your boss or you're creating a product or whatever. It's, actions are the tool to get you to creation, no matter whatever you're creating. So I think it's creation versus consumption filter.
And I think, you've really touched on a massive issue there, and it's something I think that people don't really think about, aren't really aware of it. And again, because the guy produces so much content in this space, he's the guy I go back to all the time. But Ed Dale talks about consumption versus creation. It's one of his big things this year, and he's the one who got me really thinking about my processes. And you're absolutely right. I have filters. I really do have filters. Like your suppliers. All my suppliers have a filter. My Skype credit allocation, automated messages. I can find anything from Skype very quickly. I can find anything from any supplier very quickly. And I don't need to see those. I don't need to see those, except for every now and then. But I don't need to see them when I'm allocating time to check my email. I need to see what's important. It reminds me of years and years ago when I got my first mobile phone. This was, a long time ago. And I gave the number to about maybe 3-4 people. Can you remember those days?
I do.
And they were my closest, my family and my closest friends. And basically, I could leave the telephone on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because if it rang, the person that was calling had something important to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
People knew that. If that phone rang at 5 a.m., I would wake up, I would answer it. I would also be half dressed by the time I'd press the go button, because I figured it would be important enough. They'd want something that, they want me or want some help or something. And I think you should kind of treat your inbox like that. If something pops up in your inbox, if you can make sure that what pops up in front of you, especially if you're one of these people whose job really, if you have a job, and your job means that you need to have your email notifications on, because that's something that I stopped a long time ago. My email's off. I'm like you. I allocate time during the day that I read it and I switch it off, because the distraction is just too much. These things binging up all the time.
Oh, absolutely.
I hide on Skype. Even when I'm on Skype, I hide, because just the note of just people going, "Oh, hey, hi, how's the weather?" Go away.
Yes.
But yeah, so the two big things that I got from what you do, and the things that I've got to really go back and have another run round, because I've let my filters go, is what's happened to my inbox. I've kind of got a bit lazy with adding the new subscriptions to a filter, and that's what's filling my inbox up at the moment is just noise. So I need to get on top of that. I'm okay with consumption versus creation. And I've locked myself out of the mail, and I don't read it. I don't have it open all day, and I'll let the notifications distract me. Otherwise, I'd never get anything done. But so do you actually allocate like set times during the day, or you mentioned that you do it sometimes in between your 25-minute creation blocks that you sometimes check your mail, but do you have like fixed times as well?
No, I don't do the whole Tim Ferriss. I only check it on Wednesdays at 11:35 when it's over 28 degrees and the sun's risen from the south. It's just my email management. In terms of email, viewing is just like, okay, hey, I want to check my emails now. I want to see what's going on. I need to feed my ADD. So it's not really a set thing, but it's just okay. When I'm in there, I have some positive constraints, so to speak.
Yeah, because David Allen talks about that. It's like if you pick something up, like if you open your email, you're doing it with the commitment to yourself that you are going to action what's in there. You're not just going to scan it and go, nah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'll go in there at random times, and I might be in one of those moods one day when I'll actually check my email 3 times in an hour. But in that, every time I check it, I'll still go and actually follow my rules, myself. My own guidelines of what I need to do when I'm actually in that space. So I don't think it's about necessarily when you get into that space or like how often you get into that space. It's just when you're in there, you've got some rules to follow.
Yeah, and that is actually probably the most important thing, because you have kind of said this in what you were saying, oh, I use Mailplane, I use Gmail, I use these tools. But let's not get hung up on the tools. You and I think, share a deep affection for all things Mac.
Oh, yeah.
But as I say, especially in my job with media production, my Mac is my tool. It does the job. It's the best tool for the job. But saying you've got to use a Mac to do something just because they look nice or whatever, it is like getting excited about a hammer.
Absolutely. And look, I think there's different types of hammers, and some hammers will work better, but to start with, at least pick up the hammer and start banging at the right time.
Exactly, and this is it, and this is what you're saying, is these techniques, it comes down to whatever tool you're using, it matters how you use it, the rules, the techniques, or whatever. That's the core thing. And that, I think, the big thing for me, filters, because I'm falling foul of not having enough filters. To get stuff that you don't need to view immediately, filter it out and put it somewhere. And as you say, you can have different levels. Ed Dale talks about his RSS feeds and his urgent reads folder in his RSS feeds. And you could have things filtered to that, different levels if you want to get all complicated. But just getting the stuff that you don't that isn't clients or product creation or that kind of thing out of your inbox is a good start. And after that, having a process that when you go in, having a commitment that when you go in that inbox, you're going to clear it out, or you're going to go through a set process. You're going to do a set series of things. But there's one thing I think that bringing a little bit of the GTD stuff back in, but whether it's GTD or whether it's just common sense, there's one thing you didn't really mention, and what a lot of people fall foul of, and that is having that commitment to do that review. You say, okay, I take an action out of my inbox in my email and I put it in my OmniFocus, which we'll gloss over for now because that's another week's worth of content. I put it in my task manager, whatever whether it's your whiteboard, a post-it note on your screen, whatever it is. But do you have a commitment then to yourself to review that list of to-dos?
Oh, absolutely. It's a similar sort of thing in terms of that. I think is a bit more structured, a bit more Tim Ferriss structured in that I'll do my OmniFocus probably 3 times a day, morning, noon and night. I guess sort of a rough sort of time frame. And it's then I'll actually then sort of sit down and go, okay, I'll do this 3 times a day to plan, the night before what I'm going to do tomorrow, make sure I move everything out and allocate it correctly. Morning of, review it to make sure I know what during the day. Lunchtime, just check to make sure I'm on track and there's nothing urgent that I'm going to forget about. So the only stuff that I move out of my inbox into that is it stuff that doesn't need to be actioned at that day. Otherwise, I'll just do it at the time of actually seeing the email. So it can be done a little bit more loose in that it can be checked every 12 hours or so, as opposed to an email that I do check a little bit more often.
Cool, because I think that's as well as having a process. It's having that commitment to go back and review wherever you've put the things. Whether it's once a week you review your kind of internet marketing noise emails, once a day you review your vital reads and whatever. Auto filtering those things is fine, but they can build up. And you need to go and tidy it up or have a look or a radical concept, as I'm going to do. If you're not going to read them, bin them. Yes,
circular file.
Get yourself off the list. That's it. File it in a round file.
Well,
absolutely.
I think you're right. I think no matter what, if you sort of break down success in any sort of field by definition. I think it really is. It's just a formula. It's commitment and consistency of doing the right stuff. So if you want to be a success at your email, it's just working out what the right stuff is and then have a commitment to do it consistently. The people that are the best at soccer, the best at doing tax returns, the best at whatever it might be, if you break it down, the top 1% of every field, the only reason they got there is from commitment and consistency. And what breaks up the 1%, pardon me, then comes down to skill. But realistically, if we all lived in the top 1% of what we want to do, we'll be doing far better than what any of our already set expectations and goals are. So I think it's just about commitment and consistency to get you there to start with.
And that's just to wrap up, because we're getting close to time. I mean, that is it, absolutely. And that's kind of the core concept of what's his name? Gladwell?
Cialdini?
No, Gladwell.
Gladwell.
Gladwell. Malcolm Gladwell in his...
Sorry, yes.
Yep, Gladwell.
Outliers.
There you go, me and my memory. Outliers, the 10,000 hours.
Awesome book.
Yeah,
10,000 hours. If you do something for 10,000 hours, you'll become an expert at it. It's basically what the whole premise of that book is, and it's a fantastic read or a fantastic listen for those of you who are like me and prefer to devour stuff in audio format. But absolutely,
secret tip there, folks. Yeah, I mean, but what I think is I think actually what you just said is probably a better takeaway from that book than what a lot of people take away from that book. A lot of people come away from that book and go, if you want to be an expert, you need to put 10,000 hours in, because it's an easy soundbite from the book. Yeah, he gives a lot of examples where he tracks people who've been successful and says, well, you may not know this, or you may not be aware of this history behind their success. People like Bill Gates, people even like the Beatles. He talks about these great, really well-known people, and he talks about, well, yeah, but before they even started to become well-known, they'd been grafting for ages and ages and ages. And so for people to take away this 10,000 hours thing, but what you said, I think, is either it's a more important way to look at it, a more applicable way, because somebody looks at anything and says, oh, crap, 10,000 hours. Nope, sorry. But commitment and consistency, everybody can do that.
Well,
yeah? Everybody can say...
I'm reading a very interesting book at the moment, or listening to a very interesting book at the moment called Moonwalking with Einstein by Josh Foer. And it's about memory. He was a journalist who covered a story about memory championship and went on to win the American memory championships the following year. And one of the things that his mentor or coach said is, you'll be able to win this on an hour a day. Just do 1 hour a day of training your memory. In 12 months' time, you'll be America's memory champion. And he was. Commitment and consistency.
Yeah, commitment, and that's absolutely right. I mean, it sounds flippant, and there are so many people out there, including myself. I'm a regular. One of my worst habits is saying I don't have time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's absolute trash.
Bollocks.
It's utter trash. I read an article by the most random of people. It's just completely left field, irrelevant to the whole space that we're in. But this guy wrote this article. Basically, he said pretty much like you, commitment and consistency. But he said, don't tell me you haven't got time. How much time do you spend playing PlayStation? How much time do you spend watching TV shows? How much time, just take 1 unit of that, 1 hour each day, as you said. Add up those hours. 7 days a week, that's 7 hours. That's almost a working day. Look at how much you can get done in a working day on your day job. Get it done.
Absolutely.
Commitment, consistency. Absolutely. So, on that really motivational note, we are about at time. That was really good, actually. I've been dying to get you talking about your workflows. And the email is the one that's most important to me and most significant. But let's come back to this and talk about some more. Absolutely. About how you handle your day-to-day stuff. Definitely on your focus.
Consumption and creation and sort of stuff I use. Sounds like fun.
Cool. Excellent.
See you next time.
All right, mate. See you next time.
Bye.
You've You've been enjoying another fine episode of Preneurcast with Pete Williams and Dom Goucher. Make sure to hang out with the boys online at www.preneurmarketing.com or drop them a line via Preneurcast@preneurgroup.com.